Good morning. Week 13 NFL DFS for FanDuel and DraftKings. Had a very good Thanksgiving slate, and I don't think they left much else for us, but we're going to navigate through these tough and muddy waters. Jameson, Hutchison here, the greatest of all time. Joel Wirth coming off a great week last week. So, Joel, welcome in. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you. Yeah, I had a solid week on the UD app, on the dog app last week, but fourth in the Wildcat. So, looking forward to this week and trying to stay hot.
So, it was a very good week for you. Jahmyr Gibbs obviously goes off. Collect a lot of hit the pay window. I've had some decent weeks, but I thought Daniel Jones was going to get there last week, and just he started off hot and then just kind of fizzled out. So,
I had a lineup that put up 212 points and finished 70th or 70 points out of the top spot last week. There was a lot of scoring.
If that's not how DFS has been in 2025,
yeah, exactly.
Just encapsulate and just talk about it. But we got no teams on bye. I spoke about earlier. This slate is pretty ugly. I don't know which way to sugarcoat that, but
Stank.
we're gonna navigate through it. We got 7 games still in the early window. We've got 3 in the late window. I will pull up the solver, and we're gonna kick it off with, I guess, probably one of the better slates or better games in the early window. That's really saying something. The Texans on the road to Indianapolis facing this Colts, which I think this game is honestly pretty interesting as far as just kind of the pressure for Indy, who started off really hot and starting to fizzle out. And I think there's a chance that they kind of lose their spot in the division. But Texans on the road at the Colts. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so big picture, there are 4 games today with a line below 5 and only 3 games between teams that have a realistic shot at the playoffs. So this is one of them. This game is moved towards Houston and the under. So 44 is the total in this one. Houston 3-point road dogs, 20.5 implied for the Texans and their red hot defense coming off a Thursday night win over Buffalo, and the Colts 23.5 implied total. They are 3-point favorites. Should the Colts be favored with Daniel Jones playing on a apparently broken leg? Does that even make sense?
Not really. And I said last week I thought the Colts would win. I thought they should have won. They got really conservative to end the game, and that's kind of what cost them. And honestly, this is just about as bad as the spot for the Colts facing this Texans defense has shut down everybody this year. So, I mean, do you run Jonathan Taylor? Do you try to run Daniel Jones on a bum leg? Tyler Warren seems like he's going to play. He had an illness. I mean, Tyler Warren has kind of cooled off after the hot start to begin the year.
He's been okay. He's just not scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, and I mean, compared to Trey McBride and George Kittle, who've kind of started to separate there, it gets very tough. I don't think anybody's playing Jonathan Taylor today. $9,900. I think they'd rather spend the $10K at JSN or Puka Nacua is also expensive on the slate. But I mean, last week, he obviously he's had 2 games under 10 points. So when you're spending $10K against this Texans defense, if the Colts win, I think they have to go back to just leaning on Jonathan Taylor. But Texans defense has been really good. And then once you stuff Jonathan Taylor, I mean, is Daniel Jones going to beat you? It doesn't look like it at this point. So I've really struggled. On the other side, I like Nico Collins a lot. Historically, he's been really good. But this secondary for the Colts pretty much shut down the Chiefs last week until they were just on the field so much that they couldn't handle it anymore. So I've talked myself into a bag of nothing sounds good, but I think this is a game that probably should be dived into a little bit more. So I like Nico Collins in this game, but other than that, I don't know. I mean, I think Stroud's going to get played because how cheap he is.
Yeah.
Let me pull up his price point real quick. He's 6,800
on DK.
Yeah, he's 6,800 on FanDuel, so he's going to be in the player pool here. But I mean, Davis Mills looked better than Stroud has in his last 3 outings this past month. So I'm struggling. I don't know how you feel about this game. As far as I don't know, it's just tough.
I really like the Texans passing game side in this. We talked, we kind of called it last week. We said, we asked how is this Colts defense going to play, and that they've been such a zone heavy team. But Sauce Gardner's a pretty man heavy or man better cornerback, and they played the 3rd highest rate of man in the league last week. So it seems like they're going to be a man heavy team going forward. Texans passing game is better against man coverage. Nico is Jaden Higgins, 23 targets the last 3 weeks. We got the rookie wide receiver breakout coming in this one. 3,900. He's been one of my favorite pay down plays this week. On 3,900 on DK. So yeah, I like playing this game through the Texans passing game. I think they can get there. I think if Dalton Schultz has been okay, especially in like trailing situations, if they're chasing points, that's where he's really gotten it done. So like last week, he didn't do anything, but they were leading the whole game. So didn't really need him. So if this is a game that you think Indy can kind of keep up and keep this game close, then I think Dalton Schultz is in play. This is just like big picture. This is just to be another week where you're going to be playing a lot of tight end in the flex because the cheap tight ends just project better than the cheap wide receivers for the most part. Again, I do like Jaden Higgins a lot as a $3,900 pay down on DK. So yeah, I like the Texans. CJ Stroud is going to get played a lot, but I think there's a reason for it at that price point. And I think this is a good matchup for him.
Yeah, Higgins has been really good, and if you're going to pay up for like JSN or Puka or any of these guys like Christian McCaffrey, who we'll talk about in a little bit, you're going to play these wide receivers, and it's going to be him. It's going to be John Mechie or Adonai Mitchell, like that kind of. I know Higgins is a little bit more expensive, but that's kind of the realm that you're into. Woody Marks has been fine, I guess. It seems like he's kind of separated himself a little bit from Nick Chubb, but I don't know if that really says much. I'm not really afraid of the Colts defensive line as much as I am the secondary. So I think, he's been okay. I don't know if I want to play him too much. Any interest in the Colts passing game? It's been kind of tough.
I think it has to go through Pittman in that, like with Pierce, if he's going to win, he's going to win downfield. And like this Texans pass rush is so good with, Hunter and Will Anderson is playing like a man on fire right now. Yeah. And you got Danny Dimes playing on a broken leg. I mean, I don't know how he's going to have enough space and time to be able to set up to get Pierce downfield. So yeah, I think maybe it's a Josh Downs week in that they're going to kind of have to, kind of do some things underneath and in the intermediate area. But yeah, if I do play it, it's through Pittman and Downs, and I'm just fading Pierce big time this week.
Yeah, I think that's a good call there, just because I know Pierce has a little bit more in his bag, but it's not like the Colts will probably be throwing it all over the yard today or even have the time to. I mean,
right.
It just seems like Daniel Jones has the leg injury's really been bothering him. It seems like he's had it the last couple of weeks and it's just now starting to come off because he's looked like two totally different players. But Josh Downs, 5,500, he's going to be in that punt wide receiver play there. Tyler Warren, we talked about a little bit. He's fine. I've got a couple tight ends this week that I think I'd rather play.
Yeah, it's tough to pay up for him with the stomach bug when there's some really attractive options down the line.
Yeah,
on the pay window.
And then Trey McBride.
Trey McBride at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is like a 25, 26, 24. He does get Marvin Harrison Jr. back. So it's any interest in defense on any sides of this? I don't think so, but I do.
I don't love the Texans, but I think you just got to keep them in mind just because like they're just like they are rolling. What, they get 9 sacks last week against the Bills or something like that? I mean, if they can keep doing that and if Daniel Jones is kind of playing on a wounded leg, then yeah, I think you got to keep them in mind. I mean, they're not my favorite this week, but I think they're in play.
Yeah, they flip-flop as far as FanDuel. Texans are more expensive than on DraftKings. They're cheaper. So
yeah, they're cheap on DK.
I think Texans make a lot more sense on DraftKings than FanDuel there. So we'll move on to the next game. That I'll just be honest, the Texans and Colts game as far as fantasy, I feel like it's very hard for me to figure out. And there's some easier stuff down the road here, but I mean, we talked about it earlier. It's just a really tough slate. So next game, New Orleans Saints goes to Miami to play the Dolphins. The Dolphins have kind of heated up over the last month. Some players in this that are going to be very, very chalky and rightfully so. But we got Saints at the Dolphins.
Yeah, we get these Saints on the road as 5-point underdogs. 42 is the total, even with these terrible defenses. So 18.5 implied for the Saints and 23.5 implied for Miami. HN feels like he's going to be ultra chalk this week, cash and tournaments, and probably deservedly so. This feels like a low over under. I mean, yeah, I know both of these offenses are not great, but it feels like a pretty low over under for two terrible defenses. So this is a game that I want to attack pretty hard. I love Jalen Waddle in this game. I like a little worried about Olave with the back spasms this week and missing practice, but like that dude's been playing through stuff all year. So I'm not super worried about it. Like him on the backside. Yeah. So I'm going to have some Dolphins double stacks with Olave bringbacks. And then you got a nice spot for Devin Neal against a bad Dolphins run defense. And he should have a ton of volume with Kamara not going to play this week.
Yeah. Devin Neal, I'm kind of curious to see how much he gets kind of steamed up here. I'll be curious because he's going to end up in this workload that nobody else is going to play him. So he ends up being very interesting. He's 5K on DraftKings, and then on FanDuel, he is 5,900. So Achane, you spoke about, he's been probably one of the best running backs in football this year as far as fantasy goes. Probably better on DraftKings and FanDuel, but I think he's viable on both sites. Jalen Waddle as well, ever since, Miami's kind of figured it out a little bit. And the thing I'm very curious about, people are going to play Waddle. They're going to play Achane, but they will not play Tua with them. And I think that's kind of the way to get different. Yeah, that's kind of the way to get different because we've not seen Tua have like the blow up games that he's had in the past, and he is all the way down here at 4,900. I think people are going to play Stroud. I think they'll probably play a little bit of Tyrod and Tyler Shuck just as far as cheap guys go. But Tua, 4,900 on DraftKings, and then on FanDuel, he ends up being the same 6,900. So he's a mid tier quarterback there, and I think that's probably the way to get different. And then Malik Washington has been pretty good as far as like a punt wide receiver goes. He's 5,500 on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings, he ends up being 4,300. So he's in that player pool of just cheap guys who, kind of hoping and praying for a touchdown. And then on the Saints side, we've seen the Taysom Hill usage just creep up a little bit. Are you interested in the Taysom Hill experience or Juwan Johnson as far as tight end
Johnson?
goes?
Yes. Hill just looks bad. He doesn't look good.
He does.
Like he's not like he's getting opportunities, but he's not doing anything with them. So like I just don't think he's fully recovered from that ACL. They probably rushed him back. He just hasn't been good.
Right.
Yeah, he's probably going to get opportunities, but I just don't. I don't want to pay for because the zero risk is real there. I do like Juwan Johnson a lot. He's one of the tight ends that I am interested in this week.
Yep. And then Olave, he's 6,400 on DraftKings, and then FanDuel, he's 7,200. Devon Vele, I know he's been talked up a little bit just because he's been on the field for New Orleans. He's 4,900 on FanDuel, and then DraftKings, he's 3,500. So it's not sexy, but if we get some news for whatever reason, Chris Olave's out, I still don't want to play him. I can't believe the Saints traded for him, but that's above my pay grade there. Any interest in Darren Waller playing today? Are you in on the?
No.
You don't want none of this?
I don't want none of that.
No. Very touchdown.
He's got to score a touchdown. And even if he does, like he's exactly 4 targets. He's probably going to catch 4 balls. He's probably going to go for like 40 yards. If there's just better options. No, I'm not paying. I'm not doing it. The ceiling is just so limited.
I hear you. Like I said, there's better options there. And then Dolphins defense 3,300 on DK. Saints is 2,800. It's not necessarily a punt play on DraftKings. I believe they're more of a punt play on FanDuel. Saints bottom of the barrel at 3,400, and then Dolphins 3,700. I'm kind of interested in Dolphins. I know it's not been great, but
I'm interested in both because Tua can turn the ball over. I'm good with either one of these defenses if you need a punt.
Yep. So next game here. Seems like we're going to get some of these weather games. As of now, it looked like we're going to get a little bit of rain here, but the Atlanta Falcons with Kirk Cousins, no Drake London, going to New York, face Tyrod Taylor and the New York Jets, and just what will be another barn burner on this slate.
Oh, yeah, this is a beauty. Atlanta 3-point road favorites here over the Tyrod Taylor-led Jets, 38.5 in total for this game. So implieds of 20.75 for Atlanta, 17.75 for the Jets. Like Atlanta's defense isn't even that good, but can you see the Jets scoring 17 points?
No, I don't know in what world. It's obviously in a different dimension.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of interested in Brees just because nobody else is going to be playing him. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago that you just chastised people for playing Adonai Mitchell? Because I need to give you a shout out for this one because you were exactly right. Dude has got, since the trade, 13 targets, 3 receptions. That's atrocious.
People,
it's awful.
He played the Colts game where it was either Alec Pierce or one of the guys was out, and everybody got real excited. And it's all about everybody loves the talent, and he's got the separation score and all that stuff. He can't catch the ball. He can't keep 2 feet in bounds, and people are excited to play him. So,
he's brutal.
And he can get 400 targets, and he'll get 4 catches out of them. I mean, that's the Adonai Mitchell experience right here. So I just don't. I'm interested in Brees. I'm not playing Mason Taylor. I'm not playing Adonai Mitchell. I'm not playing.
No.
Who else is it?
Mechie,
yeah. No, thank you. I'm not playing that. Darnell Mooney gets there on like a weird. I believe he had 3 catches last week, so it's still not great with the Captain Kirk Cousins. And 6,400 on FanDuel. That's a little more expensive as far as punt wide receivers go. He's 5,300 on DraftKings. I don't want to play Kyle Pitts. I think I would just play Bijan and Brees and get out of here on this game. I don't really have much.
I think that's correct, right?
But I don't know if anybody's going to play Bijan this week. To be quite honest, I think people would rather pay 800, pay for HN or pay for McCaffrey, and then Bijan kind of gets the last one left out. I'm not really scared about the Algier stuff, but I just I think Bijan's probably a fun tournament play that isn't going to get much ownership, and I don't want to play anything else on this game outside of Breece Hall, who I think does have the ceiling compared to what other people think.
I think if there's a guy on the slate that you look back and say, how did we, someone going off and how everyone said, how did we not see that coming? It's Bijan. Because the Jets are terrible. Their defense is terrible. Their run defense is brutal. I mean, they were bad with Quinn and Williams. They've been even worse since. I think I'm not scared of Algier either. I think this is a spot where I'm with you. I don't think he's going to get a lot of ownership just because their offense is so bad. It's such a low total game. But yeah, I can see him, breaking off a couple long runs, scoring a couple touchdowns, being the guy you needed on the slate, and everybody else, why didn't we see that coming?
Yeah, and I mean, Breece Hall had a pretty good game in Week 12, so 15 points. He's getting some receiving work more than he's had all year with Justin Fields. So I think Breece Hall, he'll probably have some ownership. He's really cheap. He's $6K on DraftKings, FanDuel. He's going to be a $7K running back here, 7,400. So it sets up really nice for those two. I'm not playing anything else. And then defense-wise, Falcons defense, I gave them some props to begin the year, and they've just fallen off a cliff. They have just sucked absolute astronomical amount of ass the last couple weeks. And then Jets defense is pretty bad too, but going up against Kirk Cousins, who can't push the ball downfield, I think both are viable if they fit for what you're building this week.
So, yeah, I don't love either, but yeah, I'm okay with Falcons as a if you're gonna play Bijan, I'm okay with bringing it back with the Falcons defense.
Right. So next game here, this looks like this is the weather one, and of course you can give us the weather report yourself since you're in the great state of Ohio. But the San Francisco 49ers, I think pretty big favorites on the road going up against the Browns and Myles Garrett, who has just wreaked havoc on every single offense this year. So seems a little more interesting with the weather. I looked earlier, it didn't seem like there was much going on, but you would be the one to ask. So
yeah, it is windy as a mother trucker here. So we'll talk about that in a second. So Niners 5.5 point road favorites, 35.5 is the total. That has come down. It was 36.5, 37. So that's come down over the week as the weather woes have spread across the internets. So 20.5 implied for the Niners, 15 implied for the Cleveland Browns. We're supposed to get they got some lake effect snow last night. It's not snowing here. I'm an hour outside in Canton, an hour outside of Cleveland. They're supposed to get some lake effect snow maybe this afternoon. It's not supposed to be a ton, so it's not going to be a blizzard game or anything, but it is windy. Sustained winds at 20, gusting up to 35. So it's going to be windy today. There's no question. So yeah, I think the downfield passing game, not that either one of these teams are great at pushing the ball downfield, but I think that's off the table here. I don't think McCaffrey's going to get played a lot today. He's just not. He's really fallen out of favor in the underdog drafts. He started out the week as the 101. Now you can get him he almost never goes 101. So it feels like the community is really down on him, and I don't get it. Yeah, he's really expensive, but I mean, if you're going to run the short passing game, it's going to run through CMC. Yeah, it's a tough matchup on the ground, but he's been doing anything on the ground. Everything he's been doing this year has been in the passing game. So I don't see any reason that's going to change. So yeah, if CMC is going to be contrarian this week, then I'm going to be all over him.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm watching that game against the Panthers. I mean, it's just, especially if Myles Garrett's going to attack Brock Purdy, he's just going to dump it off to CMC. And he's done this with Brian Robinson getting a little bit of run. I'm not saying Robinson is like totally ate into the workload, but he's been on the field a little bit, and CMC still has these monster games. So I think CMC is well worth his price, especially with how Brock Purdy looked last week. I didn't think he looked great. Juwan Jennings, I do want to talk about a little bit because he would be the wide receiver. 4,700. He's more of a DraftKings play than a FanDuel just because of his price point, but 4,700 for a guy of his, I know the situation is not great, but 6,600 on FanDuel. He's just cheap over there. Kittle is very interesting on a slate that we have McBride and then some cheap guys. I usually don't get too worked up with the weather stuff unless, it is beating me with in the face with it. I understand that Cleveland gets very windy, especially coming off the lake and stuff, but I don't know if I have the balls to play Brock Purdy this week coming off a bad loss or a bad game going up against Myles Garrett, who is racking up like 5 sacks a game at this point. However, he is cheap at 7,300 compared to some of the other guys and his, ceiling there. So on the Browns side, it's either going to be Quinshon Judkins or Harold Fannin. I can't play Shedeur Sanders. I know that people thought he had a good game last week. It seems like he's being very protected. They run a lot of Wildcat. We saw that with Quinshon Judkins. He got a couple touchdowns that way. And Judkins, for a guy who only is really touchdown dependent, he's 7,800 on FanDuel and then 6,200 on DraftKings. He's kind of expensive, I think.
He's crazy inefficient too.
Yeah,
it's touchdown or it's multiple touchdown or bust with him. If you're not getting touchdowns from him, he's not doing anything.
Right, and I just don't. It's just not the kind of player that I want to attack, especially, he can get 2 touchdowns and still won't bury me. So I'm not going to play Judkins. I will play CMC a lot. And then I might have a one-off piece of the 49ers. I'm not into Ricky Pearsall this week. He has not looked great. He's had some moments. It seemed like every time he's had a ball thrown his way, there's a flag on the play. And all that stuff gets, brought back. So I like CMC. As far as defenses go, 49ers are up there. They're 3,600. And then Browns are 3K on DraftKings. And then on FanDuel, it's going to be more of the same here. So 49ers, the top, one of the top dogs as far as defenses go. Seems a little disrespectful, even though the Browns have been terrible. And then Browns are 3,900. So I think I'd be more interested in play the Browns than the 49ers defense, just with all the sacks that Myles Garrett will probably rack up, but I could be wrong there.
I'm interested in the Niners. Shedeur didn't look that good last week, and that was against the Raiders, who are terrible. So, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. Right. So yeah, they didn't even trust, like you said, the Quinshon Wildcat thing. They didn't even trust him at the goal line. So yeah, I'm still interested in the Niners defense this week because I don't think Shedeur has proven enough to say that he's a guy that I'm not going to attack with a defense.
No, he had the big bomb early, and then outside of that, it just seemed like Kevin Stefanski was calling a lot of stuff to protect him instead of showcase what he's got. So and
that long touchdown to Sampson was just a running back screen dump off that he took for 60 yards. Yep. It wasn't like it was a long bomb or anything. So yeah, I don't think Shedeur has shown anything that makes me want to think that I'm not going to attack him with a defense.
Nope. So sometimes you got to watch the games and not the box scores. So next game, another lopsided affair. We get the LA Rams, who look to seem like they are the best team in football right now. Big favorites on the road going to Carolina, who honestly I was excited to watch on Monday Night Football, and then I got through about 5 minutes of it. I was like, I don't know why I'm watching this dog shit. So this is lopsided as it gets. We got a very expensive Rams team across the board on the road going to Carolina here. What do you got for us?
Yeah, we get the Rams 10.5-point favorites this morning on the road at Carolina. Carolina coming off the Monday night game, so short week for them. 45 is the total, 27.75 implied for the Rams, 17.25 implied for Carolina. This feels like an absolute smash spot for the Rams passing game. It's expensive. It's really hard to do, but they're going to be without J.C. Horn, who's concussed. They're going to be without Trayvon Mooring, who's going to be suspended for punching a guy in the junk. So, yeah, just start all the Rams you can fit into your lineups. They're all very expensive, but I think you want as many of them as you can get.
Yeah, it just gonna look up. I mean, Stafford's playing at MVP level here. 8K. I mean, on FanDuel, it gets very pricey. It feels like you can only grab one of the wide receivers as far as unless you're just going to
tough to do the double. Yeah, but you really we'll talk about the tight end, Colby Parkinson. If you want to do a Stafford double, you really have to do it through Parkinson because it's just too expensive to do Puka and Adams.
Yeah, 2,800 for him on DraftKings, and then 4,800 on FanDuel for Parkinson there. At this price discrepancy, I would rather play Adams than Puka. Adams been the one that's been targeted in the red zone. I know Puka has really taken off as far as yardage concerns, but I mean, seems like Devontae Adams is getting 2 touchdowns and gets 5 red zone targets every single game. It seems like you turn it on and there's a fade, there's a screen, there's just whatever it is to him. So I think both are obviously viable. I'm not playing Kyren Williams this week. I know it's a great spot for him, but I've tried this 4 or 5 times this year, and it just has not worked as far as the Kyren Williams experience has gone. So I know he's been good, but just seems like he ends up going off on the better matchups, and then these lopsided affairs, he gets Blake Corum'd, and I don't know. Are you playing any Kyren this week?
Not in DFS. I'm drafting him some on Underdog, but yeah, I don't love him in DFS this week. But doesn't it just feel like the week that he's going to go off if there is a week?
Well, I thought that was 4 times this year, and every time I do it, I click on him, and he just doesn't show up. So, on the other side,
seems like on the week where we expect the passing game to just go nuts, it just feels like it's gonna be a Kyren game where we're going to be left holding the Puka and Devontae Adams bags.
Right. On the other side here, they did not run Rico Dowdle at all, and I would not be surprised if he gets 25 touches to make up for the lost arts of last week against the 49ers here. He did not have a good game. He did not get the ball at all. It seemed like it's not a good matchup. This Rams defensive line has whooped ass all year long. And then Tetairoa McMillan had a big game last week, or 2 weeks ago. Catches a touchdown last week, but he didn't get anything else. I mean, 7 targets, 12. 6,100 on DraftKings, and then FanDuel, he ends up being a 6,800 wide receiver. I don't know if you play the Ram stuff, if you technically need to bring back. I think I'd rather play Rico than McMillan as far as bringbacks go, but both of them are not in good spots, so it's not like I'm playing any of those guys with confidence.
Yeah, I agree. I don't love anything on the Carolina side. Again, short week, and they looked just miserable on Monday night. We got bad Bryce Young Monday night, and it's just it didn't work. So yeah,
has there been good Bryce Young? There's been 2 games, and
he lights it up against the Falcons, and that's really about it. So
yeah, that's all I gotta say about Bryce Young. There's just no thank you. I think we've exhausted the Bryce Young experience to no avail. So Rams are really expensive as far as defense goes on both sides, and that's talk about Colby Parkinson. He's cheap. Other than that, I don't have much on this game. So unless you do, if you're gonna pull something out.
No, that's really about it. I like Parkinson quite a bit, just because the Carolina Panthers are not good against tight ends. I think they're worse against tight ends by DVOA. So you look at the advanced metrics. And Parkinson's been getting it done. He's got 14 fantasy points in 2 of the last 3 weeks. At that price point, at 2,800 of DK, I mean, it doesn't take very much to pay off that salary.
No, especially if you're doing double tight end like you talked about earlier. So, like I said, other than that, there is not much there. So we will move on to the next game. And like I said, it seems like that's been the theme of this slate. Everything got taken care of on Thanksgiving, and we got left with the crumbs that are just not very much of. So
we get the Thanksgiving leftovers that have been in the fridge for like 3 days, and they're starting to dry out. And
yeah, just getting ham getting
we're
hard
sick
as
of,
rock.
We're sick of turkey. We're sick of the stuffing. We're sick of mashed potatoes that don't heat up properly in the microwave. Yeah, it's just we're sick of it all.
Getting ugly. So
Yep.
Jaguars go on the road to Tennessee. Seems like Tennessee has, I don't want to say gotten better, but just shown a little bit more life than they have. But honestly, I'm a little interested in this Jacksonville side today. And that's really saying something because I've came on here every single week and poo-pooed on the Trevor Lawrence experience. So we'll see how this goes today. But Jaguars at the Titans. What do you got for us?
We have the Jaguars as 6-point road favorites. 42 is the total this morning. So 24 implied for the Jags, 18 implied for the Tennessee Titans. Travis Etienne feels like he's kind of slowly taking over that backfield. He was definitely the preferred leader in the backfield last week. This feels like another really good spot for him against Tennessee, who's not that great against the run. They were pretty good last week. They didn't really shut down Ken Walker, but they kept him out of the end zone. So that was kind of a bummer for me because I had a lot of Ken Walker. But I'm going back to the well with Etienne. I think this is a good spot for him. We get Brian Thomas Jr. back. That's a good thing. That probably dings Jacoby Myers a little bit. Yeah, but your call, Brenton Strange, last week got 93 yards, I think. He looks solid. I think he's in plays this week. Jameson, are you going to kick me off the show if I tell you that I have a lineup this week that has Gunnar Helm in it? I have a Tennessee Titan in one of my DFS lineups.
I'm not going to kick you off the show, but we will do some, shock therapy. And
therapy.
Gunnar Helm, I guess we will have to announce this on DraftKings, 2,600 on FanDuel, 4,800. I think I've seen worse. It's not I thought you were going to say DK, and I would be like, all right, I was going to say he's the only fantasy viable one, but I don't hate it. It's at this point, we talked about how ugly it is. Why don't you go with the ugly plays here? Gunnar Helm's been
again at 2,600. It's almost like you do anything. You score a touchdown, you get a couple catches. It's really hard to not pay that off.
No, and Chig Okonkwo has just not been good this year. I know people.
He's hurt. It sounds like he's going to play, but yeah, he's been dinged up, and like Helm has just taken over the tight end targets. So yeah, Okonkwo has just been shadow realms. I do think he's kind of in play this week, just because he's so cheap. And again, it's Cam Ward's getting better. He hasn't been terrible the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So Cam Ward, I mean, he's dirt cheap too as far as like punt play goes. I think that's very viable. DK is probably the only wide receiver that I would consider. Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears have been thrown off the earth. I mean, I think Tony Pollard is ranked like the last in rankings as far as running backs go, as far as starters. It's just not been good for Tennessee on the ground. But DK's had some pop-up games, 18, 12, 14. Especially last week against Seattle, where we thought that they would just get blown out, and it just was not the case. 4,400 for him on DraftKings, 56 on FanDuel. I was not ready for the Gunnar Helm speak, so I'm still thrown off my game.
Didn't mean to throw you off your game there.
No, I do want to talk about Brenton Strange, though. It's, for whatever reason, this guy is the glue for the Jaguars offense, and it doesn't make any sense. I'm very into him this week. I said last week he was going to come back, and he's going to get a lot of work, and sure enough, he led the Jaguars in passing. He gets 93 yards on 5 targets. I think it's going to keep happening. I don't love Trevor Lawrence, but on a slate like this, I think he's very viable. We get Brian Thomas Jr. back. It seems like this offense is going to be as healthy as it's going to be this year. Travis Etienne, I know people were on the Tootin train. Tootin train kind of lost some gas, and it goes right back to Etienne. I think Etienne is not going to get played as much as he should. He's been a top 10 running back this year, and especially over the last couple of weeks, he's just gotten there. So I think Trevor Lawrence stacks are very viable. Etienne, if you want to play Brenton Strange. I know people are scared of Brian Thomas Jr., but let's look at his price real quick. And I mean, 6,500 on FanDuel, 6,200 on DraftKings. I mean, I know the box score has not been good. He's finally getting healthy, but I mean, the number one wide receiver going up against the Titans, I think, attack when everybody else is scared. And I think Brian Thomas Jr., if I'm going to play some Lawrence stuff, I'd play him. And Parker Washington's been in the slot. I'm kind of curious if BTJ kind of disrupts the Jacoby Myers and Washington train. But out of like those wide receivers, do you have a preference that you would play if you had to pick one today?
It's Brian Thomas Jr.
It should be.
It better be, right? Yeah. So I think again he's one of he's been practicing for a couple of weeks and not playing, so it feels like if they're going to play him now, he's got to be close to 100%. So and if he's 100%, then he's the guy I want.
Right. So as far as defenses go, Jaguars are going to be up there, 3,700 on.
I love the Jags this week.
Yep, on DraftKings, and then FanDuel. It's going to be the same. I mean, 4,800. You're going to pay up for Jaguars defense. If you're going to do that, I'd pair it with ETN. ETN's cheap enough. Yeah. I think you can do that and be fine with it. I don't think there's much else on this game as far as I'm not playing Tootin. His role got squashed like a bug. And then I think Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington, they're okay, but I'd rather just play BTJ and Brenton Strange and kind of move off from there. So
yeah, I agree. I am playing a lot of ETN with Jags defense bring back. So there you go. It's a defense that thrives off turnovers. Tennessee turns the ball over a lot, so you're gonna have opportunities there. So yeah, I like that pairing quite a bit this week.
Yep. So next game, last game of the early window, Arizona Cardinals, which seems like the greatest comeback team of all time as far as fantasy production goes, go on the road to Tampa Bay, who is just reeling right now with injuries. Seems like 3.5-point favorites is a little discriminatory, if that's the word, with how bad the Bucs are. But Cardinals going across the land to Tampa. It seems like Baker Mayfield is going to play. Just injuries all over as far as this Buccaneers team goes. So what do you got for us here?
Yeah, this is a game that'd be a lot more interesting if we had some certainty on these injuries and how much playing time these guys are going to get. But Arizona, 3.5-point road dogs in this one. 44.5 is the total. That is the third highest total of the slate. So 20.5 implied for the Cardinals, 24 implied for Tampa. Bucky Irving's back. Don't know how much he's going to play. Chris Godwin came back last week, barely played at all. Marvin Harrison's back. Don't know how much he's going to play. Just so much injury uncertainty in this game. Smash Trey McBride, just because Tampa's terrible against tight ends, always terrible against tight ends. And God, he's just getting so expensive though. I've been living on the Trey McBride flex train the last few weeks, but it's getting really tough to do that when he's $7,800. But I still we're at the edge of viability, but I think it's still viable because at that price range, I still like him more than the receivers that you can play. So I still think that's in play. And again, we talked about it before. The cheap tight ends are just so much more appealing than the cheap wide receivers this week. There's just once you get past like what 6K, wide receiver is just gross. It's terrible. So yeah, I still think McBride's in play as a flex, but yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of him at flex or tight end. He's my favorite play of this game. A lot of people are still going to play Michael Wilson. That's where I get a little bit nervous, just because I think he's just getting there on volume. So if Harrison comes back and just takes some of that volume away, that like his floor could just evaporate. So I'm a little bit nervous about Michael Wilson this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you as far as it seemed like Harrison was going to get there with Jacoby Brissett, and then his appendix blew up. I mean, they had some moments, and with that volume, played Dallas, 19 points, and I don't know. I like Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot today. I don't think he's going to get played, and I say that as somebody who has not played Marvin Harrison Jr. or drafted him at all, much at all, the last 2 years as far as this price goes. But people are showing up and going to play Michael Wilson with confidence, and they talk about him being better than Marvin Harrison Jr. I know Marvin Harrison has not been good, but I mean, come on. You're saying just because Michael Wilson has had some volume games, he's a better wide receiver than Marvin Harrison, the top 10 NFL pick. I mean, am I getting a little goofy and ignorant by saying everybody's just kind of overblown this a little bit here?
No, I don't think so at all.
No,
I do want to have some Harrison this week. I don't want to leave that on the table because again, that's like you said, he was getting there. He was starting to get there with Jacoby Brissett. Then the appendix exploded, and now he's been taken away from us. But so if he's, if he's like, an appendix isn't the hardest thing to come back from. It takes some time, but once you're back, you're back. So if he's good to go, then I think he's good to, again, like Brian Thomas Jr. If he's going to play, I think he's close to 100%. So I will have some Marvin Harrison shares this week.
Yep. So, and then DraftKings, as far as Jacoby Brissett goes, he's 5,800. He's probably a better play over there because of his price point than FanDuel. Jacoby Brissett's been a top 12 quarterback as far as fantasy goes ever since he's been. Yep. You got to close your eyes and got to wait until the third and fourth quarter for him to start rolling. But going to go up against the Buccaneers, I think that, I would not be surprised if the Cardinals win today. Baker's hurt. Ibuka
has either.
Yeah. Ibuka has not been good since the beginning of the year. And it seems like he's had some injury stuff, but 4, 6, 5, 7, 3. I know the beginning of the year he was going scorched earth, and everybody was really excited about that. Godwin played, did not look good. It just seems like the Godwin thing's probably going to come back next year fully healthy. And then Cade Otton is a guy, as far as tight ends, I guess we got to consider him, but I'm never playing Cade Otton unless somebody else on this team has been, hurt and out of the game. So as far as Arizona goes, the running backs, it seems like Michael Carter and Bam Knight. I don't love either of those guys. And then Buccaneers side, I think Sean Tucker will still get some run. Todd Bowles came out this week and said that they're going to ride the hot hand. If Bucky plays and looks good, I think they ride him. But I think Sean Tucker and then Rachaad White ends up being the guy that kind of gets worked out of here, even though he's got the receiving stuff and has the third down role. I think the Brissett stuff with Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride would be the way that I go about it. I think that McBride and Brissett will get played. I don't think Marvin Harrison will get much run. So that's the way I would play it. And then as far as defense goes or anything else, you have anything on this game? This is probably the best game on the slate, as bad as it is.
Yeah. I think Godwin is like a cautionary tale for Bucky Irving this week, in that he came back last week off the injury, but just his snap share was very limited. I think he played in about 35% of the snaps last week. He just didn't play a ton. So I'm not trusting Bucky. Like, I will have 0 Bucky Irving this week in DFS. I don't think there's enough touches for him to hit ceiling. So yeah, I'm going to be fading him full time. I will probably have some Sean Tucker, but don't love that either.
No, it's not. Like I said, this week is probably the grossest. This feels like week 18 without the punt plays, as far as
exactly.
As far as the quality of plays that we've got. Sean Tucker 6,800 and DraftKings he's 5,500. So defense wise, I don't have anything here unless you do, and then we'll move on to the last of the couple games here.
Yeah, no, not super interested in either one of these defenses.
So, got 3 games left. If you have any, make sure to like and subscribe to the show. If you got any comments, questions, you want us to answer some lineup questions, make sure to do so there as well. So 3 games left. It's Max Brosmer time for Minnesota. We get J.J. McCarthy out, going up. Couldn't ask for a better matchup going up to Seattle, play this defense that has just beaten the dog shit out of everybody. So Vikings at Seahawks, what could possibly go wrong for Max Brosmer, who is apparently in the same class as the head coach, Mike McDonald, for the Seahawks. So just to show the age there. So Vikings at Seahawks, what do you got here?
Yeah, morning line has pushed this game all the way up to Seattle by 13. So 41 is the total. So 14 implied for the Vikings. 14 implied total for a Kevin O'Connell-led offense with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, a 14-point total. Yikes. Seattle at 27 for the Sam Darnold revenge game. Man, Jameson, I got buried last week. I was full in on Ken Walker, got buried by JSN. I didn't get totally buried. I had some JSN, but I was mostly fading JSN and got kind of wrecked by it. I'm going back to the well. I think this is a great Ken Walker spot. He's crazy cheap on DK. I just unimaginably cheap, honestly. He's like 5,300, which is just crazy for the volume he's getting. He is totally usurped. Like, he didn't score last week against Tennessee, but he got the volume. I think he had like 17 carries. So yeah, he's taken the volume role from Charbonnet. Charbonnet's just a change of pace guy, basically, still scoring touchdowns, which is annoying. But I'm not fading JSN, but I do love Ken Walker quite a bit this week. Brosmer on the Vikings side, think the Brock Purdy that you got on Monday night. That's basically Max Brosmer's ceiling. Like, this guy he can execute an offense, but he does not have an NFL caliber arm. So yeah, he's a career backup at best. This is not going to be a great spot for him against a very good Seattle defense. I don't want to totally fade Jefferson, but Jesus, it's scary. It's just, the floor is just absolutely zero with this offense. Like, I could see them not scoring a touchdown this week. So yeah, it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah. Brosmer's had a good preseason. He showed some moments, but this is preseason we're talking about. They're playing 4th and 5th string backup, so there's really not much. But if you've watched JJ McCarthy, the floor is in hell. So how
exactly?
How much worse can it get? I don't think you could play anything on the Vikings side. I think people will play the quarterback for the Vikings just because he's so cheap, and they'll probably play JSN on the other side there and just hope that Brosmer throws a touchdown, gets like 10 points, and you can work away around that. But JSN, I don't understand how he keeps doing it, because nobody else for the Seahawks gets there. And you would think somebody would just double cover him, shoot him, wrap him up with tape, like figure out something to stop him. And it's every week you just see him get behind the defense for a long one. So he ends up being 10K. So I think, between him and Puka, are you probably picking Puka just because the price discrepancy? Or would you still?
Yeah, it's hard. It's such a good matchup this week with Carolina being out. Like, Puka just absolutely take the top off the slate this week. So yeah, and especially at 5K less, and the fact that I don't think the Vikings can be competitive in this game makes me want to lean towards Puka. But yeah, it's certainly not a stand I'm going to make with any kind of conviction.
Right. So outside of that, Seahawks defense is going to be up there, rightfully so, 3,900 on DraftKings, and then FanDuel, they're probably going to be 5K. So 5K for them. I would pair both of them with Kenneth Walker, obviously. I think Kenneth Walker is going to get a lot of run, deservingly so. Any interest in Sam Darnold this week?
I think you have to. It's a revenge game.
Yep. And
he's not that expensive.
Nobody's talking about it either. So they're just going to play that. So Sam Darnold, JSN, AJ Barner at tight end he's had his moments. I'm not going to say he's been good, but he's definitely had some fantasy viable moments. Cooper Kupp and Torrey Horton, just Rashid Shaheed, ever since he came to Seattle, he gets like one target.
Complete zero.
Yeah. You can't even start him. So I do think that Sam Darnold is viable here too. So that should do it for that game. Like I said, it seems like we're both on Kenneth Walker. I'm in on Sam Darnold this week. Good matchup. I know Vikings defense has been good, but if an offense is so bad, it just gives you short fields and just gives you the opportunities. I think that's how it sets up for Seattle here. So
you just hope it doesn't turn into what Green Bay did last week, where they just went, nope, we're done. They got that 2-score lead in the second half and just went, we're done. That's it. Game's over.
They just retire.
We're going to take the air out of the ball and we're just going to run the ball, and that's it. Like, it was, as a Packer fan and someone who's very invested in the Packers in fantasy last week, it was really frustrating to just know that, like, they weren't going to do anything and they shouldn't do anything because they just had no need to. They just completely took the air out of the ball. So that's your concern, is that just knowing that this Vikings offense can, and they've got some offensive line injuries again. Like, Darisaw is questionable. Sounds like on the wrong side of questionable. And like, when their offensive line is hurt and they're under their backups, their offense just doesn't work. I do have a little bit of interest in Hutchison, just because he's completely contrarian. He's very cheap, and Brosmer's like, he cannot push the field. So I think he's a guy that Brosmer might just kind of hyper target. I'm not gonna have a big stand on him, but I'm not gonna have zero. Let's say that.
I'll give you Gunnar Helm. I don't know if I can do Hutchinson. I'm just gonna call it like I said. I mean, Hutchinson has been the drizzling shits this year.
He's been terrible.
You know what?
Very bad.
You have enough street cred. You can say whatever you want on this, and I will not escort you off the property. So,
I'm just saying he's crazy cheap. He's crazy cheap, and I think he might get hyper targeted by Prosper. So he's in play.
So next game here, another barn burner. I feel like I've said that the entire show for the 50 minutes we've been on air today. But Raiders get rid of Chip Kelly. They go on the road to L.A., right up the road, face the Chargers. I believe coming off the bye, we're not going to see our Marion Hampton this week. We're going to get one more week of Vidal.
Nope.
Chip Kelly gets fired. They bring in Greg Olson, not the good one. The Greg Olson that has already been offensive coordinator for the Raiders twice. So third time, maybe a charm for Las Vegas, but not looking good for the Raiders coming up against the Chargers coming off the bye here.
Yeah, so we get Chargers 10-point favorites at home, SoFi. I guess there'll probably be more Raiders fans, but Chargers still at home nominally. 41 is the total in this one, so 15.5. Another barn burner implied total for the Raiders. 25.5 for the Chargers. Man, I see Ashton Genty in a ton of you run the optimizers this week, and he's in a ton of lineups, and I don't get it at all. They have a crazy low implied total. They're changing offensive coordinators. He's got an ankle sprain. Pete Carroll says he's good to go, but do you believe anything that Pete Carroll says at this point? I don't like Genty. No. Genty scares the crap out of me this week, so I'm going to have a pretty fade position on him. Burned me last week, but that scares the heck out of me. I'm going to be all in on Herbert and the Chargers passing game in this one. I'm very heavily invested in Ladd McConkey. I like Gadsden a lot this week. I guess you kind of got to be in on Vidal because Hampton's not going to play, and this is a terrible matchup for the Raiders. So Vidal's in play, but don't love it. I'm playing this game through Herbert in the passing game.
Yeah, there's a reason why Herbert is on the thumbnail this week. So Herbert sets up in a great spot. As long as we can avoid Max Crosby taking the game over. That is the only thing I'm worried about because this Chargers offensive line.
It is a concern.
It has not been good. As long as they take care of him, I'm not really scared of anybody else here. But Vidal is going to be the guy left behind, but I mean, he's going to be an RB1 and a positive game script. I'm very interested in him. 5,700 on DraftKings. FanDuel, he is 6,700. I think Ladd's in a great spot. We talked about the tight ends here. Oronde Gadsden, 5,900, who has had some absolute ass-beater performances this year on DraftKings. If you're playing two tight ends, he's 4,300 over there. Ladd's in play. I think Keenan Allen is very interesting. He's been a guy who is notoriously – I know he's not on the field full-time anymore, but I think he could still get there. He's 5K on DraftKings. And then on FanDuel, he's 6,900. Probably going to be more touchdown dependable. Quentin Johnston getting behind this defense, I could see that happening. I can just see it for the Chargers kind of pour it on here. So I really like the Herbert doubles. I think you can get – and I think you play Vidal with two pass catchers and get away with it on a slate like this that we know is very ugly. So you just pick a game and an offense that goes off and just lean into that as far as correlating that heavily. As far as bringbacks go, Trey Tucker is a guy who's getting 400 targets and not getting there. Brock Bowers had a bunch of targets. I don't want to pay $7,200 for Brock Bowers when I could pay $1,000 more and get Trey McBride.
Yeah,
and then,
for sure.
Genty, I've not been in on Genty. I just don't. I think he gets there on dump offs. I'd rather play him on DraftKings if you had to pick one, but I don't see it. I think Pete Carroll sucks. I think Greg Olson he's never been good as an offensive coordinator. No. He did that with who was it, John Gruden, for a little while, and just I don't know. This Raiders team is in hell, and it just Chargers are a playoff team. They're in the wild card right now. They're going to keep fighting for it because I think the wild card gets very interesting in the AFC. So I just think the Chargers kind of pour it on here, and the Chargers offense, which I think will get owned, but I think it will be under-owned compared to what they should be on a slate like this, where it seems like there's going to be a couple offenses that just kind of keep on going on. So Chargers 4,500 on FanDuel as far as defense goes. I'm not playing Raiders defense. I don't care. They're 4K on DraftKings. So they're a better FanDuel play this week than DraftKings, but I think viable on both sites. So as far as wide receivers go, would Ladd be your preferred wide receiver for the Chargers side?
Yes. Yeah, just because they're like you said, their offensive line is so bad. If it's a Crosby takeover again, like they're throwing short. So yeah, like QJ's just kind of gotten shadow realm because They just don't have time to throw the ball deep. They can't set up and throw deep. And against Max Crosby, it's not really something you're going to expect them to be able to do. So, yeah, I like Ladd getting a lot of shallow crossers and intermediate routes and stuff like that. I think he's probably going to be my most owned receiver, other than Jaden Higgins this week.
Yep,
because he's cheap. He's relatively cheap. He's in that mid tier where you'd still kind of afford these guys to get multiple of those guys in your lineups.
Yep, 7,600 on FanDuel, 6,300 on DraftKings for Ladd, who was slow coming out of the gate at the beginning of the season, then kind of really started to come on. So I'm right there with you as far as that stuff goes. So last game, it's like I said, the slate's pretty ugly. Buffalo, who is really falling apart at this moment, going to Pittsburgh against the Steelers, who are technically still in the hunt for the AFC North. Seems like Aaron Rodgers is going to play with a broken left hand. I mean, seems like the Bills need this, but Bills being 3-point road favorite, the way they've looked, I don't know, kind of scoff at that. I don't think they deserve that, but that's just me personally.
Yeah, so Bills are, like you said, 3-point road favorites here. 46 is the total. The highest total of the slate is 46. So 24.5 point implied total for the Bills, 21.5 for the Steelers. It's Josh Allen coming off a bad game. I'm always going to be interested in that because he's one of the guys on the slate that could absolutely go nuke and be the guy that you had to have, and just happened 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, he's definitely going to be in play. I'm totally fine running him naked because I mean, Shakir is fine, but again, what's the ceiling? I wish I knew Dalton Kincaid's status because Pittsburgh is terrible against tight ends. So he would be interesting if I knew he was okay, but it's questionable. We don't even know if he's going to. We've got no word this morning if they're expecting him to play or not. And he's, it's a late game, so it's do you want to force yourself into a swap if he ends up being inactive? I don't love that. So I wish we had some kind of word on that. Pittsburgh side, it's all going to be through Jaylen Warren for me, just because I don't trust Aaron Rodgers with that broken wrist, and Buffalo's bad against running backs. So I do like Jaylen Warren quite a bit today.
Yeah, we'll see about Kincaid. If Kincaid doesn't play, I am not playing Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox has not been good enough to be fantasy viable in replacement for
no
him.
There's no ceiling.
Yeah. I'm with you on the Josh Allen stuff. If I'm going to play him, I'm going to play him alone. The problem with that is he is a $9,400 quarterback on FanDuel, and you are going to sacrifice a lot for him to.
Yep.
Even if he does his 40-point game, and it seems like he's going to have to. I'm just not comfortable enough playing him. I'd rather play Stafford. I'd rather play Herbert. I'd rather play Brissett at those prices, just because it seems very rough as far as the Bills go. Shakir's been fine, but not good enough. On the Steelers side, I know you brought up Jaylen Warren. I'm very interested in Kenneth Gainwell today. He has been very good the last 2 weeks going up against this Bills defense that has just been absolute abomination against the run. 18 points and 29 points the last 2 weeks. I know Jaylen Warren's in a great spot too, but I think both of those guys could get there. And I wish Mason Rudolph was playing because they speed up on offense when he was playing so much more than when Aaron Rodgers is in there. It takes half an hour to hike the ball so he can, throw it in the dirt and then bitch and complain at his players that they're not good enough. So,
hey, welcome to the Aaron Rodgers experience. We've been
right.
living with that for the past 17 years.
It's never his fault. He sounds like my kid.
No,
never my fault. It wasn't me. So, Bill stuff. I do want to talk about James Cook real quick. He's the only other, honestly, fantasy viable player on this game. If you're going to beat Pittsburgh, it's probably going to be through the air, not on the ground, going up against TJ Watt and that defensive line that's gotten better over the last couple of weeks. But we've seen James Cook have these games. If I would just play Josh Allen by himself, I think James Cook's fine. I just would rather go Achane. I'd rather play ETN. I'd rather play Vidal and these Steelers guys than James Cook. I just don't feel like it's a James Cook week. But at the same time, if the Bills are going to win, James Cook seems like their only other fantasy viable guy. So
the one thing I will say is he's starting to get a little bit of work in not a lot, but a little bit of work in the receiving game. 11 targets the past 3 weeks. which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you consider he had 2 the previous 4 weeks, it's starting. We've seen games where Cook goes off and Allen goes off, like the Carolina game, for instance, when they put up 40. They both kind of went nuts. I could see it. Like, I would just, if I'm going to stack Allen with anyone, it would be Cook, just because that's, you're kind of hoping for that kind of scenario where Allen goes nuke and just kind of carries Cook along with him. I don't see any kind of ceiling with Shakir. And like, is Keon Coleman, is he even on the team anymore? I mean, he's been inactive the last 2 weeks. So I don't know what's going on there. They signed Brandon Cooks. There's no way you can't pay me to put Brandon Cooks in the DFS lineup. There's no way I'm starting Josh Palmer. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of talking myself into Shakir by default.
It's still not good though.
It's not fun. No.
I would be interested in Kincaid if he plays. I would play him with Allen, and that'd be the only thing there. So, and
he might be a viable swap if you have like a late starting tight end. Yeah. Like if you got a Bowers or something like that, and you're behind, you want to swap to something with some upside, and Kincaid is active, maybe something like that.
Yeah. And then last guy here, DK Metcalf hasn't been good, but 7,300. Looked like he broke his ankle last week, but he came back and played. I'm curious to see how much that affects him this week. So 7,300 on FanDuel, 5,600 on DraftKings. Any interest in defense on either side here? I don't think I would do it, but I think Steelers, I'm open to it. 2,600 on DraftKings. Just kind of rack up sacks against Josh Allen, but other than that, I don't really have much.
I would go if anything, like, I don't love it, but I could say, if the wrist injury is kind of affects Aaron Rodgers more than he thought, then maybe ends up being some turnovers or something like that. He can't hold on to the ball, like sacks, takes a sack and, loses a fumble because he can't control the ball. Maybe some interest in the Bills, but yeah, again, on the highest total of the day, I'm not going to be super anxious to be playing either one of these defenses.
No. So that should do it for week 13. We told you at the beginning of the show, it was about as brutal as it gets. And afterwards, I feel like I need to take a shower discussing this with you. That's how goofy it is. But before we get going, we will do flag plants as far as week 13 goes. So I will let you kick it off with your first flag plant for week 13.
I'm going to do things a little bit differently this week. Just because the schedule is it's a really skank schedule. So I think you want to put as many like top end players in your lineup as you can. It's a short slate. You just want to jam low totals. You just want to jam as many elite players as you can. So I'm going to go. My flag plants are going to be my cheap guys that I'm using in basically most of my lineups to get to as many elite players as I can. And I'm going to start with Jaden Higgins. Like we said earlier, 23 targets the last 3 weeks. Seems like he's becoming a much bigger part of the offense. He's better up against man coverage than against zone coverage. And the Colts, like we said, last week played the third highest rate of man coverage in the league for that week. Now it seems like they're switching over with Ahmad Gardner. I think if you're going to play that game, it's got to have to be through the air. I like CJ Stroud this week. So Jaden Higgins as my, again, 3,900 on DK, just crazy cheap for what he's been doing. Again, you need these guys at the bottom of your lineup who can pay, who don't have to do much to kind of 3x their salary. And Jaden Higgins is my first one.
I think that's a great call because I really like Nico Collins. And if you like both those guys, it seems like the Stroud stuff is very viable.
And I'm going to have Stroud doubles this week for sure.
Yep. So mine is, honestly, I guess we'll get a little different here too. I think the Miami stuff this week, I know Achane and Waddle are going to get owned, but I'm going to play both of them, and I'm going to play with Tua. So I just it's a weird week where I think you just need to lean into correlation. I think you need to lean into offenses that have the chance to explode. I know it's expensive, but I would hate to get buried by the avalanche of Devon Achane, 25 points, and there's no other running back on the slate that can really, catch up outside of the more expensive guys. So I know you did that with Jahmyr Gibbs last week. He goes off and has like the greatest game of all time. So I'm going to lean here with Achane, and I'll include Waddle and Tua in that as well. So last flag plant for you.
Yeah, I'm going Colby Parkinson.
There we go.
Which is going to be kind of contrarian because everyone's going to want to play Puka. They're going to want to play Devontae Adams. Some people are going to want to play Kyron Williams. 2,900 on DK is crazy cheap. Just again, it takes almost just a touchdown and he more than 3x's his score, which again, that's what you need at the bottom of your lineup to get all these elite guys into the top of your lineup. And Carolina's terrible against tight ends. Worst tight end coverage team in the league by DVOA, missing their top cornerback and their top safety. So it just feels like almost like a free square in Colby Parkinson this week.
Yep. I'll give you two, just because you went with tight end. I'm going to bring my tight end myself. I had Brenton Strange on the list. I think he ends up being a top 5 tight end, and just at his price and his volume. And then just the Herbert stuff, Ladd McConkey was my official number 2 flag plant there. So like the Chargers stuff with Ladd this week. So it just, like I said, Thanksgiving got, for the first time in a very long time, every single good game on week 13, and we are just like trying to pick up the pieces through the rest of it, but we got through it. Should be a good week.
Like they needed to flex a game into Sunday this week instead of out of Sunday.
It was just not fair. So before we get going, let everybody know where they can find you and all your good work here.
Yeah, at the Joel Wirth on the Twitter and on the Bluesky. You can find me here on the Jameson Hutchison YouTube channel and on the IDP Plus channel and Statement Games as well. Find me on the Underdog Streets as well.
Yeah. Don't go up against him on the Underdog Streets. He will beat your ass. So that's where the money's been made. So obviously on the Twitter machine at Jameson Rules, on the YouTube. If you haven't, make sure to like and subscribe. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And for week 13, good luck this week. Ramping up before the playoffs for your fantasy playoffs. Make sure you have a great week there and go win some money this week. Appreciate everybody. Until next week, enjoy week 13. Good luck. Have a good one.